Hello.
Hello.
It's Phill Ward, everybody. Have you got brew there, Phil?
I've got a brew and licorice and peppermint tea because
Seriously?
I was listening to our album Indelible Ink earlier before doing this, and there's something in the liner notes about licorice tea, and I was like, of course, Katie introduced me to licorice tea. I started my day with Yorkshire tea, you'll be glad to know.
Excellent.
My name is Phill Ward. I'm a guitarist and producer, and I played guitar with Katie B for many years. Katie B, of course, Katie Rose Bennett. But, you know, I know you in your previous incarnation as Katie B. And I also produced one album with you, as well as playing on a lot of your recordings, produced one album, Indelible Ink, which is a song I've just enjoyed revisiting after many years.
Obviously, we played together a lot, quite a long time ago, but in the last 5-10 years, what have you been up to? What's your musical life been?
More theatre work, lots of music in theatre, Royal Shakespeare Company, and doing sound design work and more bits of music production. So a whole range of things, connected with music.
We actually managed to play some music together last week in real life in a room. That was amazing.
It was.
And we were trying to remember when we actually met.
It was definitely at Birmingham Uni, and it might have been in the back of a van after some kind of orchestral concert. Because were you playing cello at the time?
Well, yeah, I'd have been playing cello, and I think you were playing double bass.
I think
we were trying to transport timpani between various buildings in Birmingham and holding onto them in the back of a transit van to stop them rolling over, possibly with Sam Fox and a harp.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it doesn't sound very health and safety, does it? Like,
no, I was going to think
put the students in the back; they can hold on to the kit. Like, literally.
How was that allowed?
Yeah, exactly. It was good then. So I seem to remember having a jam in the back of a van. You must have had a guitar or something.
Probably.
In some blues songs, something like that.
Sounds about right.
Like almost 20 years ago, definitely 18 years ago.
Yeah, well, 18 years ago it would be, which makes me feel very old, Phil. We started playing together, I think probably in our first year. End
of first year, yeah. Stop or Go Slow Man was probably the first of your tunes that I remember playing on.
I just remember loving playing music with you when we were younger. I still love playing with you now, but like there's something about you're just very good at listening and just fitting into the space.
I always enjoyed arranging and working on guitar parts that complemented your songs, and then extending that into production work. And then sometimes in more recent years I've done backing vocals with you as well. But yeah, it was always about the guitar parts. It was always about the arrangements.
I remember us talking about, so I kind of talk about how the songs I made would be like a skeleton, like the skeleton of a song sometimes, and then we then work on it and arrange it, and it was like you'd put this kind of flesh on it with the kind of intricate stuff that you'd add to it. That's kind of how I used to see it. So on the new album, Phil, there's a couple of songs from the album that we produced together, which was Indelible Ink, which we recorded maybe 2005 to 2007 or 2006 to 2008.
6 to 8, yeah.
And then I think we released 2009. I remember it was quite a long period of creating that album. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a learning experience for me in particular in how to produce an album, how to record an album of 13 songs. So that's how I remember it.
Is it 14?
Probably.
Because there's a little one at the end, I think.
Yeah.
In retrospect, I wonder if we should have made it a bit shorter.
I was thinking the same just today. But yeah, that's how it goes.
I mean, such is hindsight, and like it's quite a vast range of songs and like arrangements on that, like from the very, very minimal, just me and my guitar, to big full band stuff. And
Back from the Deep and Willow Tree are quite kind of bigger in their scope, definitely, with all of our friends singing.
All of our friends, basically.
Yeah. But then, as you say, lots of tracks which are just, say, 2 guitars or 1 guitar, and lots of backing vocals. That was nice to put together, and I know that's the case on I Like You Like Me these layers of harmonies which were really fun to put together.
Yeah, I think it was very much about the layers, the harmonies.
Felt you were like an architect building these harmonies, these layers, and I was just able to spread them out in stereo a bit. So hopefully
You're the builder.
Yeah, I'm the contractor.
I'll go with that. I think we did a remix of that song, which had you doing some Euro
disco beatboxing, because I was convinced that it needed, this kind of rhythm behind it, and because I was listening to a lot of Björk, her album Medulla, which was all vocals and all beatbox stuff. So that was the natural choice. I just had to make a beatbox remix, which is out there somewhere. I know
it is. Could you give us an example of your beatboxing skills?
No, people will have to go and find it. I'm not beatboxing on demand. But if you want to release the track, Kate, I know I've sent you the files recently.
I've got it. I've got it on a thing. Maybe I'll blackmail you with it at some point.
Do it. I think the world needs to hear it. I think it's on A Taste of KTB EP.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
It says Phill Ward Human Beats on this little thing. Phil's mix.
Phil's mix, yeah.
There it is.
That mix didn't make it onto the album. I can't imagine why.
I can't imagine, no. So I Like You Remind Me, which is, I think it's kind of like, I remember when I used to play it with you, I'd always kind of introduce it as the song that could have been a pop hit had I done any promotion on it at the time.
It could have gone in a lot of directions, and in the end, it's your electric guitar at the centre of it, which is nice, because you were very often playing acoustic guitar on gigs, but it's nice to hear you on the electric.
I suppose one of the things with making this recent album, is just to go, I've got all these songs that I made and I recorded with my friends and people I respect, and I just want to say, well, here they are, and you can still hear them, and no, they're not brand new, but lots of people won't have heard them, so I kind of wanted to put them out there into the world. I suppose that's the aim of it, really.
Definitely. I think good for you. 20-year retrospective, get it out there.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing, Phil. The other song from Indelible Ink, which is on the new album, is Girl with the Sad Shoes, which has lots of your guitar playing on it and lots of your wizardry on it, I think, isn't it?
I think I'm playing cajon on there.
As well.
And have we got Julia singing on that?
We've got Julia and Sammy singing backing vocals, which is it's really nice, because the four of us, and with Ellen Fallowfield on cello as well, used to play a lot. In the KTB collective. The KTB collective of 2004, 5 and 6, I believe. We had
those were the glory days, man. That was the dream team. Yeah.
I think with Girl with the Sad Shoes, that kind of, for me, that really shows how our guitars work together.
It makes me want to play it again. And I want to record it again, all of those songs. There's definitely a lot of those songs where it is about the intricacy of the two guitars working together. I hope I've done it some justice in the production. I was going to say, is the song about Julia, though? Because I always think...
So, the song Girl with the Sad Shoes, I believe we were all out one evening, or possibly drinking tea in someone's room somewhere, and this is my memory of it. Julia may have completely different recollection, and she said, "Oh, when I was at school, I had really sad shoes." That's all I remember.
Exactly.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make that into a song, Julia."
And you did.
And I think she both loves and hates that I made it into a song, because I tell this anecdote every time.
I know, and that's why it's stuck in my mind, because I think I remember you telling this anecdote on gigs. Yeah,
quite a lot. So it's initially about that, which was about actually having shoes which were sad at school, which I definitely had sad shoes. But it's also then kind of an analogy for having a tricky brain that doesn't behave, and that's the kind of thing that would have passed me by at the time. Because I'm not very lyrically focused anyway, but I would have just taken it literally. It's a song about shoes. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice for me to be able to revisit and think, okay, I get it now. That's what you were singing about. Well, I think that you and Joe Bennett, my brother, Joe Bennett, who produced a lot of albums I've done and lots on this album, but I think I always talk to him about the lyrics, and he's like, I don't know what the lyrics are. I've been concentrating on the music side of things and not the lyrics. It's like, oh, but the lyrics say this, and it's really important that we bring that out. It's like, And it's really interesting because for me, the music and the lyrics are of equal importance. But I think maybe for you, the music is the most important side of it.
Kind of, yeah. I think that's the way it's always been, and that's what I bring to the table. In the sense that obviously you're bringing the lyrics to the table and the music. Obviously you've got a conception of what it all is, but I'm doing, how did you describe it, putting flesh on the bones of this skeleton. I'm bringing the musical side of things, and sometimes being oblivious to what might be going on lyrically.
But I think
which is fine. I stand by that.
Yeah. Well, it's great. In fact, Indelible Ink, which is not on the new album, that's got a beautiful intricate guitar part to it as well.
Yeah, and that obviously maybe being the title track, but that's the one that I think of first when I think of that album. Maybe we named the album that because was it the first one that we really produced together? I remember setting up and recording that very early on, and getting the flesh or the bare bones, whatever you call it, of that, along with Smile Again, another song. I think we just did those one afternoon in my front room.
Yeah.
And then spent the next 2 years fleshing out the rest of the album.
Yeah, pretty much. It was one of those albums that it was a real pleasure to make it. It took a long time to make it, that album. And then I think once it had been finished, because it had been so long since the start of it, I'd probably lost momentum slightly in the kind of releasing of it. And I think lots of changes were going on in my life at the time as well. And one of the reasons I wanted to make sure that at least 2 songs from the album were on the new record is because I didn't put a lot into promoting it. I went and I've got about, if you can see these boxes behind me, there's about 500 copies of Indelible Ink still. I think I got 1,000 printed up, which is ridiculous. Like, I was never going to sell 1,000, but
it's what you do, or it's what we did 10 years ago. Definitely.
I mean, and I think I should have probably got 200 printed up and then try to actually promote it. But that's the nature of, it's learning, isn't it? When you're young.
How many are you having printed of Where Does It Hurt?
Absolutely none, Phil. Because it's
all digital
only release.
What about vinyl?
Yeah, no.
Cassette?
Not at the moment. One day, like if gigs ever happen, well, when gigs happen again, I will probably get a few, a few.
If there's enough demand for it, we can.
So also you play on Cold November Day, which is a single coming out on the 13th of November.
Yes.
And also One Day.
Yes.
Which was a single that came out in July this year. So you're everywhere, Phil. You're all over it.
I'm glad.
So Cold November Day.
Which we played last week.
We did. It was beautiful. It was we hadn't played. I don't think we played together for 5 years till last week.
It's probably about right, isn't it?
I really miss playing with you. I really miss playing.
I know. It was nice to do it again, and nice to do it in Manchester. Nice for me.
So my hero, as you know, is Gillian Welch, and I always think because the way that her and David Rawlings work together, I always kind of like aspire for the kind of combination of sounds that we made to be something akin to what they do, in that he puts, well, what does he kind of puts this weaving stuff that goes all around her guitar part.
Yeah. and he does it very well. So if we come close to that kind of effect, then I'm sure we're happy with that. But we do it in a way which is very us. These guitar parts fit together nicely. I was practicing for this video recording we did the other week, and I couldn't remember what key I played it in, what capo I had on the neck. And once I found it, I was like, oh, of course I know how it goes now. And it just, I fell back into it, and I knew where your chord changes were going and what to do. And it's like, yes, it kind of came back after 5 years.
You do some great. How would you describe it? One Day.
I want to say like South African inspired electric guitar stuff. I don't know how to describe it, but I love playing that style. Again, that's something that comes quite naturally. So yeah, that's great. That's like,
where does that come from in your kind of musical background? Where is it?
Well, no, I was probably exposed to that kind of stuff more through Paul Simon's Graceland. Yeah. So that was definitely a big influence on me as a bass player as much as anything, and as a producer, that's an album I'm very into. So I'm sure that
album was very that was Graceland is Graceland was a big influence for me on that track as well, on that song.
Exactly. So I imagine we probably had a conversation that went something like, can you do some Graceland style guitar on that? And I did some Graceland style guitar on that. So I think that's how it went down.
Yeah, definitely. I think you do some Graceland style guitar. I think you also do some other, like, I think you did about 3 electric guitar parts on that. The layers of electric guitar.
I'd forgotten.
Dun,
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. There's that bit.
I'm going to listen again. Okay. I'll have to.
No,
you're probably right. I probably tried to jump on percussion and shaker and stuff as well.
You probably did. I think you were a bit drunk when we recorded it.
Yeah, I remember the look on Joe's face when he was like, what was that? Was that supposed to be a tambourine part? And I was like, what, man? That's... It was a good day. We did 5 songs in a day. Did we get chased by cows that day? I remember having a walk and there were some cows in a field nearby. Have I got that right?
Yeah. I mean, that could have been the whiskey.
And I thought of that as I said it. I definitely have a memory of cows coming towards us.
So we recorded it with brother Joe Bennett at Truck Studios down in Steventon, and it's on a farm, and there are fields of cows. So yeah, I think you actually checked. Did we go on a walk up the hill?
We didn't get very far. The cows just started coming towards us, and we're like, I think we'll turn around now. And yeah, so the experience of being chased, I think I channeled that into my guitar playing.
Phill Ward, it's been a pleasure to talk to you about our music making together over the last 20 years nearly.
It's been lovely to revisit it. It was lovely to actually get together in person and play last week. I'm looking forward to seeing the video. It's been nice to sit and listen to Indelible Ink again, and been nice to talk through it. Thanks, Katie B.